Breathe in, breathe out. Feel your heartbeats and let go of any thoughts, any stories holding you back. And gently, mindfully, feel the breathing, feel the heartbeats. And keep your heart and awareness fully open to all the wisdom, all the guidance that your awareness will unfold for you. I am Chandresh Bhardwaj, and this is Break the Norms. Namaste everyone. I hope you are feeling grounded, centered, relaxed wherever you are. Today's episode is really a check-in from me to you toward your mental health, toward your anxiety. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How's your heart feeling today? I hope you ask these questions to yourself if no one is asking these to you. Because if you don't ask these questions to yourself, then you might get lost in the noise. Then your emotions might start to suppress themselves. But suppression only has a limited capacity. Ultimately, the volcano will erupt, and it might be difficult for you to handle what flows in the eruption. So it would be a wise strategy to continue checking in as often as you can, because then it's easy to manage, it's easy to handle what you're watching and seeing in your behavior, in your reactions. And I feel we need to do these mental health check-ins through podcast, Instagram live, within this our Break the Norms Leela community, because times have been tough. And I thought of one thing few days ago, and that kind of scared me, and this is why I'm sharing this conversation with you today. I recorded this episode a few weeks ago. It was about making someone feel safe. And I talked about this person who wasn't able to sleep for a long time, and each time he sits in my meditation, he would fall asleep. And the conclusion of the story was he was an army veteran, and in his duty, in his job, he was of course not allowed to sleep during those hours. So sleep became this traumatic experience for him. And he told me it didn't show up as a problem for a long time. It was actually after many months he started to feel glimpses of it, and after a few years it became very strong in him. But this is how PTSD shows up, the post-traumatic stress disorder. Plenty of my students have gone through it, and they all confirm one thing, that it didn't show up right away. It shows up few months later, and few years later it becomes strong. And my take on this problem showing up few years later, months later, is because when the problem is going on, we have our warrior suit on. We are trying our best to handle the problem. And when the problem is gone, then we start to melt away that warrior armor you were wearing on. And that's when you start to feel the anxiety, the stress that we didn't process while the problem was going on, because we were too busy and we needed to survive through that problem. And why I'm sharing this right now, because the current problem we are going through, the COVID situation, the coronavirus situation, I of course feel this is of course a physical illness challenge, but more than that, it is a deeper, fair, psychological, traumatic challenge that people are going through with it. Everyone I know who got infected, most of them dealt with the trauma, of the COVID for a long, long time. They're still going through it. And those who didn't get it, you might be in your own zone. But what I'm trying to share here is when things will become normal, after the world comes back to its normal ways of doing things, that's when we might start to experience PTSD. And anyone who is suppressing their emotions right now, anyone who might be feeling angry and upset with how the divisions are happening in society, how the political system is falling apart everywhere, if you are not choosing the right outlet to express that anger, to express that pain, it will pile up in you, and it might convert into PTSD at some point. Because many people I know, they are trying to be very strong right now, and it's okay not to be strong right now. It's okay to just put everything on pause and take mindful relaxed breaks, because if you don't, my fear is this might convert into something way more damaging. Because in our society we are told that anger is bad, emotions are bad, expressing your love is not good because you might be misjudged, expressing your anger is not good because no one takes it normally. People get offended if you express your opinions today. So what happens when we stop expressing these basic fundamental emotions? They cultivate anxiety, they cultivate stress, they give birth to insomnia, they give birth to psychological problems in mind. Because these emotions, anger, love, sadness, grief, they are important emotions. And when we have a judgment against these emotions, then of course we'll stock them up, reserve them, and they take the form of anxiety. So anyone who is going through anxiety, please ask yourself, what emotions I'm holding back? What roles in my life are dictating me right now? Because you might be confusing the roles in your life with life itself, because these two are very different things. Your life is your life. It's a stream of consciousness. Your life is filled with infinite awareness energy, and life in itself is a beautiful purpose. You have to show up for it. But what starts to happen, we might be having a job, a business, a creative passion, we might be going through some drama, some problem, and we start to make all of these stories life itself. But they are not. You're playing the roles in life. These roles are not your life, they are the roles in your life. You have to learn to take off that mask, to take off that role, and move into the next one, and so on. The moment your drama becomes your life, that's when the anxiety will multiply. So reflect on it, as much as you can, every week, every day, that what roles were heavy on you today. What emotions have you been piling up very nicely in your closet? Because that's not a good strategy to handle your emotions. And few days ago, I was thinking, I think we are going through problem of abundance. And I have always respected the label of abundance. But the abundance I'm talking about right now is not the conscious abundance that I talk about. It's the unconscious abundance, the abundance of information, the abundance of social media noises, the abundance of new ways of making money. And what this kind of abundance starts to do, the abundance of new ways of making money through stock market, cryptocurrency, NFT, the videos going viral. A lot of crazy stuff is happening. There are people who had nothing a year ago, but today they are, successful financially, they are popular. And if you are friends with them, or if you're watching them from far, guess what your mind starts to do? Your mind starts to question your identity in the mid of all this noise. You look at these people and you're like, People are making so much money with this cryptocurrency thing, with the NFTs, real estate. There are new creative ways of making money, making an impact, and I'm doing nothing. uh, my friends are getting married and they are pregnant. Everyone is going on vacations. What am I doing here? uh, so much is happening, my friends. I'm sure your friends are going through great times or not so great times, but the mind knows only one thing. It knows calculation and comparison. I remember in school, if I get a very higher score, my friends would tell me that tell my mom you got a lower score, because she won't be worried about my lower score. If you also have a lower score, but if you have a higher score and I have a lower score, then it's going to be trouble for me at home. So that was a school life. Parents were watching the scoring, the exam results of their kids in comparison to everyone. And as kids, we all learned the tricks of the trade, and we were like, okay, now we know what is happening. It's not about how much you are getting, it's about how much you are getting in comparison to your friends. And this is what the mind is still doing. It will calculate and compare your journey with the other person, and you will start to doubt where do you stand with all this noise. And I want to tell you, be creative, show up for your creativity, build the creative courage in you. Make sure you share your expression with the world in whatever form. But if you're doing it to seek validation, if you're doing it to seek some sort of approval, it will cultivate anxiety, because others will give you their approval when you start to create the the wiser, the new ways of making their life easier. So why don't you focus on creating new solutions for the society, and you will get the love and applause from everyone. But if you only chase the approval, you will mess up your creativity. I remember how I learned my way into this process. When I started my work, I was in my early 20s, and everyone would tell me you need to be friends with the mainstream popular spiritual teachers, because that's how you will be known, and you need to attend the social gatherings. And although I hated every bit of it, I was like, I cannot be just comfy in my zone. I need to get out of my comfort zone and start doing the things that need to be done. And this is something I try to practice. I don't want to run away from the hard work, right? We should be showing up for that. So I started doing it. And I realized one thing after a couple of these kind of experiences, that each time I'm about to join the social gathering, each time I'm about to interact with those people, my body would be unhappy. I'm not feeling joyful, not feeling excited. I'm feeling nervous, uninterested, unhappy. And as soon as I get out of that room, I feel so relieved. And when it continued to happen, I was like, I cannot put myself through this every time. And I said to myself, all the love, validation, approvals, everything that I'm getting so far is only for my work. Not because I know someone, not because, I'm going to certain spiritual gatherings. And in those days, I wouldn't even reveal that I come from a spiritual lineage. I kept myself very anonymous because I didn't want to be known as the seventh generation teacher and all those labels, because I knew that could become a very beautiful mask to put on, and I will never know who I am in this crowd. So I held a very low-key, anonymous profile in the spiritual gatherings, and I realized they make me very unhappy. Many of them make me angry. So I decided to take a break and just focus on writing and sharing. That's all. Sometimes speaking my work, but mostly writing and sharing. And I saw a beautiful shift in my confidence, in my inner strength, in my courage. And I'm happy to share, it's been many years now, maybe, I don't know, more than 8 years, 9 years, I'm still sticking to that plan. And I feel I'm doing all right, because there is no ceiling on what is enough, right? The mind would always want more. The mind would always want to be fit in. And it's been just who I am. I have a tough time fitting in. Not because I'm special, but I think simply because it's just, like we all have our leakages. We all have our own structure, which may not be the perfect glossy structure, and I feel it's just part of my structure. I'm not able to fit in, but where I fit in, I go wild. Where I don't fit in, it just creates very heavy energy in me. And I decided to honor that energy in me and choose not to engage in experiences that bring me anxiety and stress, and keeping my life simple. And I'm sharing this with you because if you feel the pressure to do certain things simply to feel acceptance or validation, don't do that. Keep your life simple. When you're keeping your life simple, when you're simply building the creative courage and sharing it, you will find your tribe. It's as simple as that. And I know many of you feel lost. Many of you feel you don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're doing. But that's just illusion of mind. Trust me, you are not lost. And if you're lost, then everyone is lost, because the truth is no one knows where they're going. The ego can build certain plans and structures, but we all know life has its own plan. Life is a purpose in itself, and you can make the greatest plans, but life's plan will always be much powerful, much greater than all your calendars, all your appointments, all your plans. So don't feel you're missing out on anything. But simply start to let go of the illusions that your mind is building, and keep coming back to your acceptance. Keep coming back to your true expressions, and that will start to melt away a lot of anxiety. And start to understand why you are doing something. The why of everything is very important. And this why applies for everything. Why do you meditate? Why do you engage in a conversation? Why are you dating a certain person? Why are you married to a certain person? Why you choose to spend 3 hours today on Instagram? The why of everything is very important. And I'm going to pick one why to share here, because I think that might resonate with a lot of people. So people engage in sexual pleasure a lot. It could be with a partner, or just through masturbation, or other ways to feel that pleasure. And on a deeper reflection of that experience, you'll notice you're not looking for sex or the pleasure all the time. Many times you're looking for that escape. You're looking for that forgetfulness. You want to forget what is happening, what is eating you up. And then this pleasure, the sexual pleasure, becomes that perfect escape. And many tantra teachers, many yogis recommend meditation instead of sexual pleasure. This is why tantra recommends to go beyond the sex. And yes, those who haven't listened to my earlier episodes on tantra doesn't give you a guide map to become powerful in sex. It actually teaches you to go beyond sex. And it's a topic for another episode. But what you hear about the sexual strength through tantra, sexual intimacy through tantra, that's not even 1% of tantra. The majority of tantra is all about spiritual awakening, self-realization. But even the people who start with this teaching, they ultimately start to sell the sexual products around it, because that's what sells. But coming back to the point, the reason why our mind will choose that temporary sexual pleasure, because we are searching for this intense passion, intense energy, and forget and escape everything we are going through, and it numbs down all that anxiety in mind. It numbs down all the craziness in mind. But if you notice, many times after going through this temporary pleasure, what you're left with is a certain loss of energy. Sometimes people feel irritated, annoyed, angry, just irritating energy, because you released that sexual energy in a very unconscious way. Escapism never helps, but when you indulge in sexual experience with pure joy, pure love, then it will be fulfilling. But most times it's nothing but a sexual sneeze. You just release it, that's all. And you will again build it back when that energy feels the need to again express itself. The point is, you can keep inventing things to numb that anxiety, to numb the right approach, because the right approach is tough. It's a little heavy. It's a bit of work. But if you start engaging in that important work, it will become the easiest thing ever. It will increase your courage. It will multiply your creative strength. It will multiply your healing that you're going through right now. But what we are choosing unconsciously are manipulations toward our mind, manipulations toward other people. And because we are insecure, we feel things are not enough, I am not enough, and this battle will keep on going endlessly. And my request, my suggestion to all of you is, please keep your life simple. There will always be noises around you, complexities around you, but you don't have to take part in the circus. You can step out of it. You can go deeper in your solitude, and you will not miss out on anything, I promise. Instead, you'll only build more attraction toward yourself. You'll only build more power for your growth, and that's my promise. And I hope you will reach out to at least one person today and ask them how are they doing, how's their heart feeling, because everyone needs that mental health check-in, every week, every other day. So do your part. Ask people around you how are they dealing with all the craziness, and give them a non-judgmental, mindful listening. That's all. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll speak to you next week. I hope this podcast may travel through the untapped universe of your darkness, light, courage, passion, and so much more. Please do subscribe and be ready to break your norms. I am so excited and very honored to be part of your sacred journey through this podcast.